So my name's Sarah Crompton. I'm the senior producer at NIE, which is a theatre company based over in the East. We're an NPO. I'm here to talk about one of our projects specifically, I Will Be Everything. I have actually now on my name tag put that in quotation marks, so it stopped being my mission statement, as that seemed like it was I Will Be Everything. So no, I Will Be Everything is the name of our large-scale cooperation agreement that we're into our third year of now, which is very exciting, slightly intimidating. And I'm going to just rattle through the bones of the project and the information that hopefully will be helpful to you guys. And please do, at the end we'll have some time for some questions, so please do ask away. So yes, I Will Be Everything. The project themes, I've actually just pulled this straight from our application and I'll talk a bit more around that. But essentially it's a 3-year project that explores the artists and audience of the future. It brings together 7 art organisations in 7 European countries that all make work with and for children and young people. So that's our kind of big mission statement for this project. Now, the way that breaks down, and Christoph's already touched upon those kind of priorities for Creative Europe, that breaks down for us significantly. The lead one is it's an audience development project. Now, we're a theatre company. We never thought that we'd be putting that front and centre, but actually that is one of the key priorities for Creative Europe. So we needed to say, right, yeah, you're right, actually, this is an audience development project, which has been absolutely fascinating because we've asked all of our partners in making the process, in making the application, to identify a weak link in their audience development, which was very interesting because some of them came back going, no, I've not got any, actually. Like, yes, you must have some audiences you need to develop. So we had to do a bit more probing and it was really great. And that was just at the application process stage. So the whole process now, we're 2 years into the 3 years, and we have engaged with a local audience development professional in the UK, and we are on track to deliver a really fascinating study about how across Europe audience development can mean different things, can require different things, and what we've done to tackle it in our own way. And we've used I Will Be Everything as that project. So, big audience development programme. It's also a co-creation programme. So NIE happen to specialise in methods of co-creation with children. We like doing it. We think it's a lot of fun to go and workshop with kids, give them an idea, and then we take away their material, we make something beautiful, and we give it back to them. So that's what we mean by co-creation. We don't put the kids on stage with us, but we go into schools and we spend a lot of time. So we've done workshops across about 8 months now. We've workshopped with over 1,000 children. And we spent 2 weeks in a room a few weeks ago in Germany with all the stories on the floor, picking them out and working on which ones we were going to give back. And then we go back around to all those schools. So it's looking at co-creation, and that links into the audience development. So that's kind of nice synergy there. And it's also then enabling local people to work alongside these professional artists, which is another key thing for us. And then the long-term aim by year 3 is that we're creating this performance that then tours back to the places that we've made the show, that we started it with. So it's an immersive performance. It also has an exhibition to go with it. So they can see the show for an hour and then afterwards they engage with the exhibition. Quite obviously, this is a huge transnational network. Like, we're creating that by moving. We've got transnational mobility and we're creating a transnational network for these artists. And what's been wonderful, again, I'm sort of skipping ahead to what's been so good, but what's been wonderful is seeing how outside of the project, some of our partners have now connected already and they've gone and done things independent of the project, which is just fantastic. And yeah, the final one was about sharing skills and outcomes. So we're creating we've renamed it from audience development to actually public engagement. Through the process, we decided that was more appropriate. But we're creating a public engagement toolkit and a co-creation toolkit. And both of these documents, quite significant documents, will be published and distributed across Europe by the end of this project. So that's part of our legacy. It's a key part of our legacy. So that's sort of what the main aims of this are. So who are our partners? I've got a nice map. Oh, it does work. Great. So we've got seven partners on this project. So I'll go back to the map and say we've got ourselves, and then the other 6, we've got Odsherad Theater, and they are based in Denmark. So they're based north of Copenhagen, and we have actually partnered with them before. So that's quite a good one for us because we know them, they know us. We actually did our previous small-scale co-op agreement with them, so they were a very safe bet moving into this. We've got Nordland Theater, they're up in Norway. We've worked with them before. They've never done an EU project before at all. We've got Theater Mumpitz in Germany, so in Nuremberg, and they have experience of EU funding, and independently of working with us, but again, new collaboration. Theater am Ortvinplatz, so TAU for short, which are a wonderful, kind of slightly smaller scale producing venue, but they make an incredible international festival, children's festival called Spleen. They're based in Graz in Austria. Then Theater Figur, who are in Poland, I'll come back to them, and Sala Baratza, who are in Spain. So Theater Figur, they were a brand new one for us. So we'd never even worked with them before. They had worked with our partner Theater Mumpitz. So we took a bit of a risk, and I'll explain why in a moment. And they've been absolutely incredible. Their focus is puppetry, shadow puppetry, which is just a wonderful thing to then be engaging with. And Sala Baratza in Spain, they are a very new company. Actually, one of their founding members is one of the oldest collaborators within NIE. So that was a wonderful kind of new way to engage with him. He's just founded this company. They're the first independent theatre in the area they're in, so in Vitoria, in Spain. So yeah, a really incredible bunch, but quite a diverse bunch. You know, we've got 1, 2, and 3 there are all significant venues, all with core funding, and all exist to tour very much in their region. They're very much about their region. So interestingly, they were the ones that got a bit kind of, no, we don't have any audience development problems. Oh, okay. And then, you know, wonderfully through the project have gone, oh yes, no, you're right, there is something maybe we could look at here. And this project has really helped them to finesse what is, you know, already very good for them, but to finesse it. And then the 4, 5, and 6 are kind of much smaller. In particular, 5 and 6 are entirely funded by the project because they're so small, so they can't bring much to this project. So we kind of had this balance when we were making the project of these very strong partners, of which we are also one, but we don't have a venue. So again, within this kind of, when you're looking at the sort of ecology, like what's the word I'm looking for? Like the ecosystem type thing of your partners. We haven't got a venue. They all have a venue, but we've got core funding. 2 of them don't. You know, it's sort of, you've got to find the way to balance it up. And we're very lucky that this worked for us. Development, how this piece came about. So I said we previously did a small-scale cooperation agreement. It was called Pimetheo, and we did that with 4 partners, technically. Again, always on the advice of Christoph there, always one above the minimum, because if one does belly flop out, as nearly happened to us both times, you're at huge risk of just ending the project. So we had 4 partners. We had ourselves, we had Odsherad, the Danish partner, we had NIE Stiftelsen, which is our Norwegian company of NIE, and we had a kind of a silent partner in Finland called Kojamo. They nearly belly flopped out. We didn't know until after they hadn't, but they nearly went bankrupt. And luckily, if they had, luckily they didn't, we would have been still okay. So the development of I Will Be Everything came very much from such a fantastic experience of this funding. With Pim and Thea, we were able to achieve a production level that we just hadn't done before, despite the fact that we're core funded. We've been around for 20 years. You know, we've done a lot of stuff. We've done some very good stuff, but this gave us an ability to step that up. It gave us the ability to collaborate with new people and to tour in new ways. Pim and Theo actually went all the way to South Africa with Acetage. And yeah, so it was just from that we really knew this is really worth going for again. And actually, if we can get the right partners involved, it's worth being brave and going for the big one. So the way that the idea came about was that NIE actually already very much delivering on co-creation work. It felt like a really logical fit for what Creative Europe were looking for. So it's work that we already do. So that felt quite natural when we were coming to the partners with an idea. So our artistic director was basically going out and pitching this to these partners. We had to apply twice. The first application failed, And one of the crucial bit of feedback, interestingly, was that we didn't have a representative from East Europe. So we kind of went, I don't really know what to do about that, actually, because we don't really, good point, but we haven't really worked over there. You know, all these contacts that we've got are quite warm. And actually, it was at that moment that our contact in Ireland dropped out and said, I'm really sorry, we actually can't go for another round with you. And Mumpitz said, what about Theatr Figure in Poland? So there was a sort of a bit of luck there and a bit of a kind of having to stop and think, okay, how do we feel about that? And luckily in the end, that's what landed the project, that we actually had taken on that feedback from Creative Europe and spread our wings across Europe. So we kind of, as you can see from the map, we've got quite a nice spread. You know, we do quite well. Sorry, Italy. That would be nice, wouldn't it? But we're not bad when it comes to sort of the spread. So we've been doing it for quite a while, was more my point there, is that the application failed in 2016 and we reapplied 2017. So it's been a long time in the development. So crucially we changed a partner, which was a bit of an unknown entity. One thing just to say about that development period is just never to underestimate how long that application takes to write. There's this wonderful thing called, you have to have a PIC number. Aren't they annoying? The partners seem to consistently forget what a PIC number is. And although it's little things like that where you just have to employ a lot of time and a lot of patience to that process, especially then if you if you fail. And we were very lucky that all of our partners, bar Ireland, were able to say, yep, actually we can do this all over again. You know, and we can go for the next round with you. So, but it does take a long time to develop the project, even up to the point where you're even applying for it. A little bit about our funding. So as I've mentioned, most of us are core funded, some are project funded. So Theatr Figure and Sala Barazza are very small organisations and they get project by project funding essentially. So we had to balance that up quite carefully when we were looking at the partnership and the strength of that. Again, this was very helpful that this was our second time of doing this. We sort of knew this from Pim and Theo, that we couldn't go in without a healthy distribution. I would say as well, it helps that there were two, so it wasn't that the whole project was just carrying one, there were sort of two that we were supporting and developing. But what's great about that is that you can really demonstrate how much those two companies are going to get from this amazing project. That's the 5-2 split that I mean there. And it also informed the role distribution. So when we came to allocating jobs within the project, we were very aware that we needed to make sure that that felt realistic, but also that there was parity, realistic parity. So we have, off the top of my head, I think there's quite a few times where, for instance, NIE and Theatr Figure are leading on something together because they're so much smaller. We couldn't leave them out entirely. You need them in leading on something, but they will need that support. So we kind of had to be quite logical about how we planned that out. And it would be wonderful just to say, hey, Odsherad, you've got loads of staff, or Mumpitz, can you do all of this? But you've got to be really careful about doing that. And there's ways of getting around that. And joining jobs up and saying, okay, well, yes, Nordland, you're going to lead on that, but actually it's with Figure massively feeding in, so then it looks better, or vice versa. You know? So you've got a really good split about the roles as well as the finance. Outcomes. So many wonderful outcomes from this project already, and we're only 2 years in. As I said earlier, the fact that the partners are independently working with each other is just fantastic. In terms of the project outcomes, we're on target for everything we said. We had a whole list. I won't take you through them all, but it's around working with a set number of children and delivering a set number of workshops, and at a point where we're working on our co-creation toolkit and our public engagement toolkit and things like that. So those outcomes they're all fine. The even more exciting ones are the extra things that you get. The fact that these partners have travelled and experienced new venues and been hosted and met new artists and those things. So the methods of working that we're sharing is really exciting. That's an incredible kind of output from this particular project. Stronger international ties. And also, I've just done my interim report, so it's been quite interesting. My partners have given me their perspective on this. And one thing that came out was access to future funding. And it wasn't just the smaller companies, it was some of the bigger ones as well, said, this has really raised our profile. This has really raised our profile within our local region, and it's giving us access to future funding, which is like, brilliant. So this is leveraging more, so it's great. Yeah, so that's good. Highs and lows. The highs, very much, having an international community, developing this project in such an incredible transnational way. The chance to really grow, so that, again, back to that thing about incredible financial support and enabling us to, like with Pim and Theo, dream really big and deliver such a high quality product. That's really incredible. And for me, working with 1,000 children across Europe has been an incredible experience, and just what a legacy for the project, really. And then to be able to go back to them is really exciting. Lows in the project so far have been communication. So again, Christoph has mentioned this. Communication is so important. Nuances of that, I suppose, and again, I get to this in my advice, is as project leader, you really need to get to know your PMs. You really need to get to know, if there's a problem, why is there a problem? Because it's not always what you think. So we had one partner who just was terrible with the communication and letting us know that they were going to be consistently late on everything. And I was going, but it's so strange, because every time they come to the PM meeting, they're absolutely on it. I know they're invested. I know they want to do this. I don't understand what the problem is. And I finally, just through sort of gentle, more pushing and conversation and figuring things out, realised that there was one person in their organisation that was absolutely not interested, but they really needed them for the information. They couldn't get the reporting done without that person investing in them. So it's not fair to say they absolutely weren't interested, but they certainly hadn't connected to the project. They hadn't got that deeper level of engagement that my PMs all had, but they were a linchpin. So then we had to sort of go round that and go, okay, so how do we get that person involved? How do we get them more engaged so that we can make sure that that poor PM isn't left tearing their hair out because they can't deliver to me the information I need on time? So communication is a huge thing. Again, bear in mind that often you'll be working across a number of different languages. And I struggle to translate the EU forms at times, and they're written in English. So it's very difficult for some of my partners, and they will ask the same question 5 times, and it's not their fault, because it is hard. It's really dry at times. Onto the reporting. Again, in my interim report, all the partners pretty much said to the EU, could we please have some less from the reporting? And it's a tricky one, because I think what I would say is you have to get ahead of that, really, and do your best to help them out. So the communication and the reporting side of it are the harder bits, I would say, but everything else that happens more than outweighs that. So advice, as I've just said, communication. Don't be afraid to just keep picking up the phone. And actually, one of the best bits of advice I was given was don't be afraid to get on a plane. So I've nearly done that twice, actually, to intervene, because we were getting quite critical, and we had to say to one partner, this is getting critical, I really need you to feed back, and I need you to tell me what's going on and why we haven't got these reporting things. And I would have got on a plane and gone to them, because face-to-face, so much better. Getting another email going, you're late, no, not that helpful. So if it's getting to that really critical point and you're feeling like there's going to be some damage on the other partners, then don't be afraid to kind of get on a plane and go and try and fix that. Getting ahead, so planning, having as much kind of organised in advance as you can. I'm already about to start my final report, just because I can, because it's there online. I'm going to get acquainted with it, because I've done my interim and it's right there below it, which is great. So I can go in and look at that, and that's going to be really helpful. And I can just tell my partners far in advance. Simple things like they all go on holiday. I swear they take 2 months off in Europe. It's so not fair. But they all go on holiday overlapping. So I sent out an email in kind of May saying, right, everybody has to tell me when you're on holiday. And because I did that, I was then able to get that interim report in without anybody critical being away. But it's just simple things like that, getting ahead of all of that. Finding out what works for the team. So again, that kind of referencing that poor PM that was really struggling back in her home venue, and so how we then had to support her to get the information that she needs. So just getting to know your team really well and finding out what works for them. Financial support. So we work with a particular financial manager called Paul Bogan, who is a bit of a genius on EU things. No, you can't have him. But you could have him. He's great. He's now actually he's even left the country. He's in Gozo, but he still works on this project with us. But having somebody that's got previous experience is really, really helpful. Even if that person just helps you up to the point of submitting the application. I say financial support because he is a particularly... he's our financial manager, but just having anybody around you that can kind of give you advice is really, really useful. And dream big would be my last bit of advice. Like I say, the 2 bits of funding that we've had from Creative Europe have just been absolutely transformative for our organisation and for every organisation that's been involved. So dream big, be bold, and just, have great fun with it. There, some details for you. And that's it. So thank you very much. Do we want to do any questions now, or do you want to, do it afterwards? Yeah. Cool. Get out of the way.